Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Uh, Excited to have you all hear from the one and only Heather Herr, who is doing almost 300 transactions a year.
We're busy. Hi.
Busy.
Thanks for having me.
So thank you all for hopping on. I'm just going to give people a couple moments and then we will get started. Um, Heather, you were saying the weather is California style today in Cincinnati?
It's been the best weather. I feel like we brought it back from when I saw you in Inman. It's the perfect weather, I think. Like it almost feels like fall. So today I was getting ready. I'm like, I have to like get my fall clothes out.
I
But
love
it's
it.
really nice. It's supposed to be really good weather all week. So you're used to that. We're not.
Yeah, just a little bit of chill. That's how I
I'm
like
looking at the
it.
weather. It's usually like 90 degrees this time of year, heading into Labor Day. And I think today is going to be the high of,
Mm.
let's see, like 70 something, which is incredible. So right now it's 71 and sunny. So it's
Hi,
pretty.
hi, everyone. Thank you all for joining. If you want to drop in the chat where you're joining in from, just so everyone can see, that would be great. I'm Ashley. I'm calling in from San Francisco.
I love. And I'm Heather from Cincinnati. Here I
Heather from
am.
Cincinnati. I love it. Another Cincy person. Okay. Money making Miami. That's one way to represent Miami. Uh, Davis, Cincinnati. Love it. San Juan Islands, Washington. Awesome. Paso Robles.
That's awesome.
Amy Cherry Taylor. Virginia in the house, my home state. Columbus, Ohio, Austin. Very cool, very cool. Thank you all so much. Allison from Jacksonville, Texas. Awesome. Love to see it. Pleasanton, Elation Nation. Love it. Michael from Houston, Gilroy, 30A. Best food in America in 30A. I I just spent some time in 30A. It was awesome.
He's
Uh,
there.
Santa Barbara, awesome. Thank you all so much for hopping on. We're gonna get started. So just for everyone joining us today, Sides recently kicked off a series that we're calling Own It. Heather, you're joining from audio.
Oh, am I? That's weird. Okay, let me turn that off. I don't know what that is.
Okay. Side has recently kicked off a series called Own It because we just realized that there's so many amazing stories within this community that oftentimes maybe outside of side by side or an opportunity for you all to mastermind with each other, you don't really hear from one another. And we kicked it off a couple weeks ago talking about Anna Belomo and how she has grown to a $200 million team with no recruiting in the #1 boutique in Berkeley. And now we're kicking off the webinar component of this series with the one and only Heather Herr, who, as I said, as some of y'all were jumping in, does around 300 transactions a year. So Heather, would love for you to start by um, uh, sharing where you're located and and a little bit about your team. Why I removed this second Heather Har.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm on the screen a couple times. So sorry, we're having some technical little, and I
All
usually do
good.
good
So
with
yeah,
technology.
so a little bit about your team, a little bit about where you're located, because I know you're multi-market, and then also when you launch private real estate collection with Side.
So yeah, so I'm located in Cincinnati, Ohio. I was born and raised here. I've been here. I've been selling real estate for over 21 years. I took my time, at the very beginning, having a family and stuff, but I started private real estate collection almost a little over 3 years ago. And we are also licensed in Kentucky and then also Florida. So Florida is obviously big, but we own a house on the west side of the area in Sarasota. So that kind of strip there is where we're focusing right now, at least. And we have a medium-sized team, but I can't say that I do it all alone. Obviously, we do this as a team, but I've learned the power of like taking everybody's strengths and putting those together so that we can really do as much as possible, which is
When
great.
you say a medium-sized team, how many agents is that?
So our current team in Cincinnati, we have myself and then 3 other agents, and then we'll have like I have showing assistants that work with us as well, and they're licensed, but they primarily assist the agents that are selling full time for us, and they have other, you know, things that they do as well. And then I also have the same group, in Kentucky, and then I have a sub team that works with us as well. That's amazing, and they're pretty much all over Ohio. And then we have some people in Florida too. So we're just kind of getting ramped up down there.
Um, in the newsletter, which detailed a little bit about your story, and that's really what I want to focus on today is kind of diving into some of those pieces. You talk about the power of having a cross-trained team and having everyone know all of the different systems. One thing I would like to focus on, because this is something I really see for a lot of our partners in the community that are star producers and are really thinking about how do I take my business to the next level and step out of production or maybe do less production. How do you approach sharing with sellers they're going to be serviced by a team because they come to potentially they get a referral potentially thinking they're going to be working with Heather. So how do you position that to them?
That's a great question, and for the longest time, people would say they only want me, I only wanna work with you, but it's really changed. I'd say since I started private, most people that call me say, "If you can't make it, can you send someone on your team?" Like, they see us as one unit, which is great, and there's a lot of trust and respect there. I mean, it does take a while, but I make it very clear what everyone's role is when I meet someone. We have a roster, we go through it, almost like you would teach in a syllabus, like, this is what everyone does, so they feel confident that they're being served and they know that like even if I'm not there at the table that day, that I'm there working all the time behind the scenes. So that
Um,
takes
And
time, but
it's that
good.
roster is really important. You literally show them a piece of paper with everyone's photos and their different roles.
We do. And we go
So,
through that at our meetings, yes.
and so what is the script you use? How do you like get people to a point where they're comfortable with that?
So, I mean, I just think it takes some time, and obviously people know me here in Ohio now more than other places, I'm sure. But even in Kentucky, where honestly I've only been licensed a couple years, I'm really making some big traction there. And people again see us as a team. And I don't know if it has to do with our branding through side or just through the way we advertise ourselves out there, but they do see us as a unit and not just me. I never walk into a client's house and say, I'm the only person here. You're not going to talk to anyone else because they know that that's not possible, that they're going to have someone else with me at some point.
You said something really powerful on our prep call. You said you have to be able to cater to the weakest link on your team, which is part of why you're able to function so strongly as a team. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yes, my background a little bit is it's important here that I was a synchronized swimmer in college at the Ohio State University. And my coach and like pretty much would say every day, like, you're only as strong as your weakest link. I mean, we had this like chant that we did. And it's true because at one point I was the worst person on the team and we were national champions, but the very best person in the Olympics always made sure that the other person did good. So in synchronized swimming, there's 8 people. So it's the same thing. If you can't help the weakest person, then your team isn't functioning together properly. So you have to want to help each other. It's part of educating each other. And then eventually that person will become the best person.
And
So,
you also make a point to help your people on your team be branded as potentially neighborhood experts, positioning them out there. Can you talk about you recently had a new agent start on the team and how did you immediately bolster their profile so that so maybe being newer to the business wasn't something that was an objection you would have to encounter?
it's a good question. So in the last couple of years, I had 2 agents that were brand new agents, and they're both doing very, very, very well. Very proud of their hard work. But part of that conversation was let's figure out what your niche is. Where do you feel like you can actually make the biggest impact? Because, real estate agents, when they start, they're running all over town. I'm speaking to the people that know more than anyone, but for a lot of people that get in the business, they're saying, oh, I'm going to sell them. It's going to be great. I know everyone. But that's just not how it works. So I've really helped them say, okay, what's your niche? Is it your culture? Is it where you live? And sometimes I'll say, I know where you live, but you'll never break into that neighborhood unless you do this because. So that's kind of the conversation there. I mean, it's always going to change too, but I started that way as a neighborhood agent. And I think that took a long time to build that. And then once I had that, then I would move on to another area, but still never lose sight of that one area,
And
you
part
know.
of how you do that is you use social media. For everyone in the chat, I'm dropping in Heather's social just so you can all follow her. She has like a very amazing, robust social presence, but you use social media to help people start to look like the neighborhood expert. Can you walk through like a tactical example of that?
Yeah, so basically, like, we might do neighborhood it doesn't even have to be a very over the done top video. I know you all see that the videos these days are getting to the point where it's like a TV show, and that's great, but we're so busy, but sometimes an organic video of you just talking in your neighborhood and putting it out there, I asked them to collab with our team because our team has a big presence, and so it looks like they're connected with the team, and so collabs are, pretty common right now, especially on Instagram, and then from there, we might boost it or do some stuff with the digital campaign builder, and that's been extremely
That's
effective.
actually a really smart, just tactical takeaway. Collabing on Instagram is when you see two people have been linked in a post. So for all of our Rainmaker partners on the call, if you have new agents and you want to connect with them and boost their profile, you can use that feature. That's a really awesome takeaway.
Yeah, and I love that, so
Um, so team is kind of the first piece of the puzzle, how you are able to do hundreds and hundreds of transactions a year. The other thing is, and this spoke to me, I was so excited when I saw this reading your article, is you are the queen of SOPs. So
Mhm.
standard operating procedure. So one, can you explain what SOPs are to the group? And then I would love for you to tell me the top 3 SOPs that you feel every boutique on this call should be documenting.
Well, first things first is I'm still learning in that area, but we rewrite that on a yearly basis and we revise it. I mean, everything changes so much,
What is an SOP to start?
Well, it's just like your standard operating, agreement of how you're going to operate your operations,
Yeah,
essentially. Like, what are you doing on a daily basis? How are you going to do this?
like
How are
a
you
step-by-step checklist.
every minute, every second. So we do use something called Trello as for that, but we also write it in a document as well. But it is very detailed. Like it has to be as detailed as like I opened my computer and did this. I mean, so I know it sounds a little elementary, but I think it's extremely important because the little things get missing and missed along the way unless you do that. For me, for us, for our team, because of the amount of transaction, everyone is different. It's not the volume, it's the amount. There's so many people. I would say that buyer process, listing process, and then closing, and then beyond that with the referral back process. Because at this time, 90 something percent of my leads are coming back and they've been back 10 times in a row. So the goal is to have our team have the same thing, even if it is a lead that they got somewhere else. You want them to come back.
So can you just walk people through an example of what a post-closing process would entail?
Yeah, so we do use our CRM very heavily, and we make sure that we upload everything into our follow-up boss, our closing statements, so that we can send those out at the end of the year. We have someone that does that. We put them on like some drip email campaigns. We do an event with our clients at least once a year, but a lot of micro events too. We will use RealScout Fellow to set them up so they always know what the value of their home is because you never know, they might want to move a year later, even though it's only been a year.
How did you get started? Because I've had meetings with people that are maybe looking to bring on a VA or looking to hire their first ops person, and it's really overwhelming to take everything that lives in your head and put
It
it
is.
down on paper. So how did you do that first push?
We sat down, there was like a leadership group that we sat down, including my husband. And we sat down and just mapped out the things that we felt were maybe broken, to be honest with you, that we had some glitches with or areas that we wanted to grow. And we just sat down, we kind of put ourselves in a room for like, a whole week and then rewrote the book on that. I
It doesn't
recommend
have
people
to
do
be a
that.
whole week for everyone on the call. Don't get scared.
But we had to
Remember,
do it
she's like a
because
champion swimmer, very high bar.
no, but you could do a one day, like just, like beginning of the year, it's like kick off new year, writing your goals and let's revise our process again and let's figure out where we're going this year.
The other part of your business that I know is very important to keep your agents productive is you have a really defined handoff process after going under contract. So can you tell me a little bit about what gets bundled and then who owns like kind of passing the baton? And so let's start there.
Yeah, we have 2 people that handled I know most people that I work with, they have a virtual assistant or someone in their office. Sometimes they share the leads, with other people, but we basically as soon as we have a house go under contract buyer listing, we fill out a form. We make the agent actually fill out the form because the agent really needs to know the terms of the contract, and oftentimes when you're doing that, you realize there's maybe an error, like, "Oh, the date's a Sunday, we can't do that," or, "This doesn't match up with this date," so they fill that out. Then from there, operations and transaction coordinators come in, and they take that, bundle it together, put it out in an email, calendar it, put it in our management boards, and then that process is like, to the day until they close, is documented. So then the client feels like they're being supported. So then the agent can then, even though they're still there, go on to the next deal. Because that is the biggest thing. I always say momentum is key to any growth. Like if you stop the momentum and you overwork something and the perfection there is important, you'll never be able to get more or do better. So that's, oh, I think I lost you. You're on
No, I
mute.
already have people coming through and they're like, is this being recorded? Can I get that sheet? We'll follow up with everyone on what potentially we can pass out. And yes, this is being recorded. So Heather, you get people, so yeah, so you have them pass the baton, you have them move on, and then what do your agents do with that extra time that they now have, now that they're not focusing on kind of this handoff after the inspections?
Believe it or not, when they first start working with me, they'll say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so like I'm not that busy or whatever." And I look at them like, "What?" Like we have so many people out there in our CRM. So go talk to somebody you just sold a house to. Like go have a pizza party in their house and invite their friends, ask them for referrals. Work on your social media, brand yourself, go out there because even if you're not slammed, you're still branding yourself and marketing yourself so to get more business. So when the minute they do let that go, then they go back to their pool of like potential clients or clients they just sold. I think people forget like if you close on a house with someone, a lot of times I'm like, can I just come over and say hi? I mean, I think that means the world and ask for a referral that way too.
Uh, what are your non-negotiables for how you service these 300 plus transactions?
Yeah, I think when we talked last time, my number one is communication. Like my team knows this, but I don't really like text messaging. I feel like things get lost. I get 100 or so a day. So I ask my clients, like, what's the best way to communicate? And then we make sure that the team and the people helping know how the person wants to communicate. So I would say type of communication. So if it has to be a text, fine, but like come up with a better way to do it.
You actually
Also,
ask this. You say, do you like email? Do you like text? Do
yeah.
you like Instagram DM? So
And I
you,
tell people this too. Like, I'm going to let you know what things are going and how they're going before you think you have to come to me. So when they wake up on a Monday, you should have something already going out in a template with an update so they don't even have to think about it. There's a lot of trust and respect there. And it also creates boundaries
yeah.
because in our business, as you know, if you're doing that many deals, and I have a girl on my team that, will close a ton of houses a day, it's hard to be able to do everything for everyone. So if you can schedule that out, it's a lot better.
That was one of my biggest takeaways when we did our prep call. It was very apparent to me that you have like mastered being excellent at being a service provider while also still having boundaries. And that seems to be something I think people think, oh, if I want to be a great service provider, I need to be there at the drop of a hat. I need to do XYZ. But it's like these little tricks that you have, not tricks, but habits you've created, like proactively sending the text with what's going on, so then you aren't going to get the frantic check-in from the seller. So
So true. I mean, it is hard to do that too, and it takes I think it just takes some experience, but we've worked for developers here where we've had, 50 condos or whatever on the market. And so they want to know what's going on all the time. So they actually kind of helped us a little bit by saying, hey, well, before we even ask you, why don't you just plan on sending something out? It was like, great idea. We've got all these CRM tools. We have all the stuff. We know how to pull the stats. People just want to know what's going on, and communication's key. So if they feel like they understand, then they're great. They're going to leave you alone and you can go on to your job. So.
when we also talked, you said you love automation. Like if you could, you would, just tech nerd out all day versus selling real estate. And specifically, RealScout has become one that you really love. Can you just share a little bit about what blew you away about it and the value you got from it?
I really do love it. I mean, honestly, so the neighborhood that I serve, I started serving first, where I sell the most. Everyone is older, or they were older at the time. So I thought there's no way they're going to read an email automation coming from me. That has proven to be my number one open email rate. I want to know more about what my house is worth. I'm thinking about selling, things that people that I had never met before that I couldn't believe were actually on their emails, and literally to this day are on their emails and on that site every day, looking at values, looking at home searches. And the thing I like about it is that because I do serve Ohio, Kentucky, and Florida, I have all of the MLSs in there because I have two in Florida, one in Dayton, one in Cincinnati, one in Kentucky. So imagine trying to pop out all the portals. But if you have a client looking at all those spots, you can do it all in one spot. It's brilliant, in my
And
opinion.
yeah, and it gives you a lot of intel about what people are thinking. I always describe it as somebody might state certain preferences, like I want a two bed, two bath, and Nob Hill, but then you see they're actually looking at a one bed. I'm using San Francisco parameters here. One bed, one bath in Noe Valley, and it actually gives you really good insight, and you can stay aligned with them. What so automation super crucial to your business. Everyone being cross trained incredibly crucial to doing the volume you do. The team approach, and then as we were talking about the SOPs and the quick handoffs, what's kind of one of the biggest lessons you've learned in building this hyper scaled machine? One of the biggest mistakes that you've faced?
I would say that because I was a solo agent at one point, you need to learn how to use the tools that you have. Now, there is a lot of noise in the whole world of real estate because there's so many tools. Figure out which ones serve you and you like the most. I mean, it doesn't have to be what I do, but if you learn how to use a system, then learn how to delegate what you're asking for and communicate properly so that everyone who's using the tools knows what they're doing. So part of I learned, the hard way is that people would not be doing what I thought they should be doing because they didn't really understand exactly that was supposed to be. Leadership is hard. You have to really sit down and then also ask them how they're doing. But I think for me, that was the biggest takeaway. And then also like, getting out of the survival mode of like, I'm so busy, I'm so busy. Oh my God, I'm so busy. It's like, okay, it's like take that one day to really figure out where you're working the best and how to solidify that so that you have more balance. So you don't have to be, busy all the time and you have more time to grow and be a better leader for yourself and for your clients. But for me, that was the biggest thing.
One of the things we talked a little bit about, and we haven't hit so much on this, but just speaking to private real estate collection, and you said that you felt now that you're operating under this brand, you feel that there's like a level of respect that you're now getting. I want to tell the anecdote about your daughter, but before we do, can you just speak to kind of overall the temperature in Cincinnati and operating under this brand, kind of the difference that you've seen?
Yeah, so at first it was not easy. I don't think people really understood what I was doing, but I just felt like I wanted to have some legacy and a name for myself, and I knew I was good where I was, but I'm going in or I'm not going anywhere. I'm doing this. So taking that was a risk for me, I think, but I felt like I had the support with my team and the people around me. So that changed actually a little bit during the time of me launching my company. That did change dramatically, but some of my teammates are still there and we're stronger than ever because the right people are there right now. My kids used to say to me like, "Oh, you're just a realtor." And I would be like, what does that even mean?" Because people just don't seem to like real estate agents for some reason. But if you're a professional and you're good at what you do and you care about people, it's a good thing. But so I thought, you know what? I just don't want to just be a realtor. I want to be a brand. I really want to be stronger and be like a professional. I'm an educated person here. So anyway, I
You have a master's degree. Yeah, you went
thank
to
you.
Ohio State, one of the best schools in the country. Yep.
Great. I love it. And so, but thank you. But so I thought that it was my way of actually creating something that had a legacy and that was empowering for others too, because I also wanted to empower my clients too. At first, I will say people are like, I'm going with the big name, but now they go, who are you with? And I go, me. And then I tell them about how we partner with platform that's tech, and they go, oh, I love that, and there's a lot of respect there, and it makes me really happy to feel and see that coming
The
together.
part that made me emotional about that story was when you said the kids would say, "Oh, you're just a real estate agent." And now your daughter is telling you, your youngest, that she actually wants to become an agent so she can join you in the business.
She does, and I got emotional about that too because we still talk about it, and, that last year she wanted to work for me in the summer, and I always say no because I feel like you should work outside of your own family for a while, but I'm getting closer to being like, "Yes," and she's very serious about this, and then our middle daughter, is also in a completely different major, but also said, "Well, wait, what about me? I'm getting my license too on the side." So I think there's a lot of interest, and that makes me very happy. That's good for the legacy too.
What we've talked about it a little bit, but just like what do you feel ownership overall has unlocked for you?
I would say just the empowerment for myself and my clients, our branding and our name. I mean, I think that does go hand in hand with what you were saying about like people respecting that if I'm not the one that shows up, that someone on my team is, there's a level of respect there, and that feels really good. They know that we use very good tools and respect that too, and it's seen, I think, very well in the community. And then just like I said, before, the legacy of it in the future and being able to really change from being in the business like I'm constantly selling now, but maybe at one point I want to step outside and have someone else take over that part and me be doing something else for the company. And that's exciting because everyone wants to evolve at some point.
Yeah. Um, uh, my kind of last question to you is if someone right now wanted to run a Heather style business, what's one thing that they could implement right this second to make a difference in their business?
I would say you need to really sit down and figure out your exact brand of yourself, your company, your niche, and then put together a very tight operating procedure for yourself.
And which
Kicking
one would you say immediately people should, because you listed off several, you listed off buyer,
branding. I would
list,
say branding. Branding is huge, like, so people know who you are in the community. I mean,
and then
that's
closing,
very
right?
important.
You
Yes.
mentioned, yeah.
And closing too, but for sure. I mean, the thing is you want to have that respect in order to get that many clients. So it comes with, it's not sales. It's like, there's a person I was listening to, Gary V. Everybody knows who he is. He always says like, you're not buying Nike shoes because they're out there selling you. You go buy them because you know you're supposed to go buy them because they're cool. I think real estate's the same way. You are the person and you are not like, oh, come buy this house. They come to you because you represent a brand. I feel that way with the clients that we serve now. We put our sign in the yard, it feels like that. It feels good. It feels like we're this solid brand that people respect.
Um, so just for everyone on the call, if you have not seen the Own It newsletter, it goes out bi-weekly. Heather's just went out a couple weeks ago. We have another one that will be, or last week, we have another one that will be dropping in your inbox next Tuesday. And it's just insights from people doing things at the highest caliber, the way that Heather is. Like 300 transactions a year is mind blowing to me. Um, and I do have a couple questions coming in, but before we get to those, are there any kind of final thoughts that you want to leave people with, Heather?
I was just thinking earlier, my biggest thing is just remember that like momentum beats perfection. Now, when I say that, I don't mean drop the ball and miss details, but you have to keep having that momentum. So as you refine your processes, it allows you to sell more. So don't overwork anything too much, if that makes sense. And to me, that's everything. Because you
I
also want
love
to enjoy
that.
your life too, and have some
I
fun.
love that. I love that. Momentum beats perfection. A question came in for you, and if anyone wants to drop a couple questions and then the last couple minutes, happy to have them. But somebody said, do you advertise your brand out to the public?
Yes, I mean, we are all over social media, on all the platforms you can imagine. And then also we do use our digital campaign builder to advertise. We use SEO on Google and all those various platforms as well. So
Uh, Anne asked, what are your requirements of your agents who join you? How do you decipher between who's great and who's not?
it's a really good question. So when we originally started this company, we were really trying to recruit people that were already doing a certain amount, like say 5 million a year, and they wanted to do 10x their business. I've changed a little bit in the fact that I know because of my background and educator that I can help people really go from where they are to triple their production just based on the tools. So now it's more like how do they fit in the culture? Do I think that the culture would work well? Because that's really important to me based on not having the best culture at one point in my career and I want everyone else on my team to feel the same way too. So it's a good question though.
Thank you all so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Heather is just such an amazing example of the partners that we have in this community, and we look forward to continue to feature them so you know each other's stories more and can learn from each other. So thank you so much for joining, Heather, and for sharing.
It was an honor. Thank you again. I can't wait to see you all soon.